Hi guys, this is Amy with Paper Finch, and this is my Weatherproof Your Business workshop. We are going to talk kind of a nutshell version of my course that I teach called Weatherproof Your Business, which is all about how to organize, automate, optimize, and outsource your business so that it is prepared to ride out the stormy skies or sunny weather. If you need to step away from your business due to family emergencies, when life just happens, or if you want to take a vacation, you can rest assured and know your business is going to keep on going without you. All right, so let's go ahead and just get started. It's a lot of content to pack into this workshop. So again, I'm just going to be kind of covering it all pretty briefly, pretty high level. But you can always reach me at amy@paperfinch.com if you have any questions. So for those of us who attended Katie's workshop last month, she did a great job covering branding. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that, but I do want to talk about it a little bit because she did a great job on developing your brand. I want to talk about what you need to make sure you have that you may not have thought of, and what you need to do with all of that brand information. So the first thing that I like to tell people when I talk about weatherproofing their business is to organize. And y'all, I am not a type A person at all. Gina knows me, Gina over here. She knows me in real life, IRL, is that what I'm supposed to say? I am not a type A person. I'm pretty go with the flow. I'm a little bit scatterbrained. Like, I know these things about myself. But life kind of kicked me in the butt while I was building Paper Finch. And this is just a little segue as to why I love this concept and why I have such a passion for teaching it. So when I was building Paper Finch, I got hit with a lot of life's stuff. And I don't mean this to be a sob story. I'm just giving you the context. I had the death of a parent. I am an only child. So 2 months after my father passed, my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer. So I was the only one around to help her through that. We did, my husband and I did multiple rounds of IVFs that did not work out. We had a failed adoption, and then we finally adopted our son. And then all of you moms know everything that goes along with having a newborn. So happy ending, we have my son, but it was all while I was building Paper Finch, and I kept having to like duck out and close my doors metaphorically and just hope that I had customers when I reopened them. And I did. I got lucky because Etsy was still like back in its heyday, which is a whole other topic. But it made me realize how important it was to be organized and to set my business up for if I had to step away again, that it wouldn't just totally shut down. And of course, you know, we all are the only ones who can really do what we do. When you start a business, you know, you're building it around your passion, your zone of genius. So your business is not going to run as amazingly as it does with you there. I'm not trying to say that at all. I'm not trying to say that this system will make you be able to go on unlimited vacation in your business to just kind of roll in the money and make millions. No, but it's going to keep you from having to work 365 days a year and check emails on vacation while you're trying to sit out on the beach or play with your kids or visit family. So, all right, all that being said. So I'm kind of circling back to the branding. That is why I have such a passion for this. And I think one of the first ways to really start getting organized is with your branding. And if you ask me, like, when's the best time to start getting organized, it's yesterday, of course. But even if you're an established business, like, don't freak out. I'm not saying take a week off and just go back in and organize everything. But from here on out, everything you do, start to document it. If it's something, I will get back to branding. I know I'm talking circular right now, but if you do it more than once, document it. If you do it more than once a day, automate it is kind of my philosophy. So that being said, the first place that I recommend getting started with your organization is your branding. right? And again, Katie did a great job on the workshop last month. But also branding is more than just, you know, your logo and your pretty fonts and your color palette. And Katie briefly touched on this, but I just want to kind of refresh for those of you who maybe didn't make it, that your brand voice is also important. You want to talk about such things like, you want to, document such things as like, what words do you use? What words do you not use? Do you use emoji? Do you swear? Are you sassy? Are you snarky? Are you nurturing? Are you sarcastic? Are you, do you speak in I or in we? These are all things that you don't really think about, but when you're starting to think about weatherproofing your business, you need to start writing these down somewhere, digitally, on a piece of paper, because, and here's why. If something happened to you, or if you had a sick kid, or you wanted to go on vacation, and somebody stepped in to create content for you, or you wanted to pre-schedule a bunch of social media or something like that, you want it to be cohesive, right? You don't want it to seem like somebody else is jumping in writing it for you. You don't want to seem like, if you're having a bad day, you don't want it to come across cranky or snarky or whatever. Basically, you just want to be consistent. You guys have had a lot of coffee today. I feel like I'm kind of like this, but just try to keep up. I'm going to tie it all together at some point. But so that's the first thing I recommend documenting, is all that stuff with your brand, not just the visuals, but the tone of voice, the mood, your mission statement, all the things that are going to keep your brand cohesive and consistent, no matter who's creating the content, no matter what platform you're on, no matter what's going on in your life. You always have these set of rules to talk about. Then I recommend taking all of that and starting what I call a brand Bible. If any of you guys worked for big corporations, you probably know this as like a corporate guidelines or something, but I think calling it a brand Bible is a little more fun. So the first thing you want to do is put in all that branding we just talked about, and be sure to put in things like, yeah, I use contractions. No, I don't. I do, yeah, emojis, no emojis. And make that one section of your brand Bible. And that is just the tip of it. That's the fun stuff, right? The branding is easy, it's pretty, but we're going fast today. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next thing. Now, you want to start, this is where everyone kind of freaks out. You want to start recording your workflows and your processes. And by recording, I mean documenting, not making a video. Again, you don't have to go back to like the early days of your business, but from here on out, just kind of as you're doing things, jot them down, every step. Do you guys remember when I did the challenge last week to see how many steps you could break your email down into? This is where it comes into play, all right? So I challenged you to check email into at least 10 steps. Did you do it? That is how detailed I want you guys to get. And again, here's why. If you had to step out and you had to say, hey mom, hey sister, hey VA, hey whoever, can you just jump in and check my emails for me? You don't want them bugging you while you're sitting on that beach with your Mai Tai. Hey, what's your password? Hey, I don't know Gmail. Where do I click to log in? You want to lay out every single annoying step, because the worst case scenario is they're going to look at it, roll their eyes and say like, what am I, 6? But they're not going to have to text you, right? I mean, the best case scenario is you never hear from them. So maybe you make them roll their eyes and say, oh, I know that, but you just basically want to minimize how often you have to be bothered, that someone has to poke, right? So you want to start collecting your processes for checking email. Start with the things that you do the most. Like, what are your top 3 or 4 daily priorities, weekly priorities? Eventually, you want to have all of your processes documented, which I know is such a scary thing, but there's a reason for it, right? As we go through this workshop, we're going to talk about automating and outsourcing, and you need to have your workflows and your processes kind of cleaned up and in order before either of those can happen. So we're just easing in. We're in the organization part of it. Something else to start keeping track of, and y'all, I do all this on a Trello board. I know in the community I shared the business babysitter. That's just like a high level surface version of the brand Bible board that I use. You can flesh it out even more to be your brand Bible. I suggest keeping them separate because you may not want your business babysitter to have everything. Your brand Bible is going to have, your passwords, like all of them, even the ones you don't want your business babysitter to have. Your swipe files, your intellectual property and stuff. So just think about, they are separate. Think about what you want on one and what you want on the other. That came out weird. Everything that's on the business babysitter will be on your brand Bible board, but not vice versa, right? You guys with me? Does that make sense, Gina?
Most definitely.
Okay. So another thing you can put in your brand Bible is swipe files, the copy that you use over and over and over again. It'll just save you time if you just go over there, copy, paste. Try to make your title, if you're in Trello, the title of your card, like what it's about, because you can search Trello for, a damaged item. I'm a product person, so my filter is always through that. Damaged item. You can search in the Trello search bar, and it'll pull up that card just like that, and then you can copy paste your response. Also, I keep a copy bank of other people's copy if I come across it and I really like it. That being said, don't copy it, but if it's like, oh, I kind of like how she was a little sassy here, or, oh, that's a great thing to think about, and it inspires you later to write your own copy, keep track of that too. But make it clear if you have a team that that's not your words. Don't plagiarize, y'all. I also recommend like a list, and you can organize this however you want. I mean, I'm happy to share how I do it, but have a spot for your headshot, your links, like all the things you're constantly referencing, right? Your resume or your portfolio or your contracts or stuff like that. Links to your calendar scheduler, links to your social. Like we all have those links and sites and tools that we reference on the regular. Just be sure they're all in your brand Bible as well. Basically everything. Y'all, my brand Bible is like crazy big, but it's where everything is. I know I can pull it up in Trello. I can use my little search bar to find whatever I need, and I don't have to go all over the internet or my bookmark folder or start searching for files. And if you guys aren't familiar with Trello, you can link to Dropbox and Google Drive and all these different integrations, which I'm not going to get that detailed into in this workshop, but happy to talk to anyone about Trello ever. Yeah, and I can't stress enough that this one is not just the surface level stuff like your business babysitter. This is everything. You cannot have too much in your brand Bible, right? But do make sure it's consistent, because you guys might have figured out where I'm going with this. This will make it really, really easy to onboard a team member. If you have not yet hired an assistant or a partner or whatever, if you have everything all together in your brand Bible, it's going to be so easy to just onboard them and look at this, look at this, look at this, reference this. It just makes everything a little bit easier. All right, so going back, I just had a thought. When you do your workflows, be sure to use the same language in it throughout as well. Again, we're just minimizing how many times a person or an automated system has to reach out and say, wait, what did you mean by this? Like, are you going to use www or HTTP? Are you going to use the words like Gmail or G Suite? Are you going to use client or customer? Just kind of keep that in your mind to be consistent, to keep things straight and minimize confusion. I am going to kind of skip over naming files. Just be consistent with how you name your files. That makes things a lot easier to find as well. Both saves you time, and if you bring on a team member. Like for instance, real quick, I name upload files that I'm sending to production with their SKU, but I name all of my image files their description because that helps with SEO. And I have a certain way I do it. So whatever your way is, do that, but just be consistent. It makes things so that anyone can find it quickly and easily, so that you can search for it on your computer without having to like dig down and remember what folder you put it in, which you should be consistent, but I know we're not all the time. I feel like I'm going so fast. You know, anyone feel free to email me whenever if you have a question. So next we're going to go on to automation. And I could talk about this all day long. You guys have heard me talk about Trello, how much I love Trello, how I want to have Trello's babies. It is like how I run everything, my life, my business, my personal life, everything. Trello is a project management software, for lack of a better term, I guess, where you guys saw a little bit of it with the business babysitter. That was kind of just barely scratching the surface of what Trello can do. You can also set up all kinds of checklists and recurring tasks and automate all the things. If you don't love Trello, there's lots of other programs like Asana. I know for service-based people, there's Honeybook, there's Dubsado, there's IFTTT and Zapier. Both take different programs and integrate them. So if you're not familiar with automation, let me just give you a couple of examples of what you can automate to save time. And it's kind of like outsourcing. I mean, I say that whether you're outsourcing to a person or a system, it's still outsourcing. So it's going to save you time for you to be able to spend time in your zone of genius doing what only you can do, right? So maybe the easiest way to kind of explain what automation can do is to tell you my favorite automation that I do. So I, again, use Trello, but you could do this in Asana. I think you can do it in Dubsado and Honeybook. I don't know them as well. Or you can do them with Zapier and all the other programs, but you can figure out some version of this. So I have it set up in Trello where when I get a new wholesale order, meaning like a store emailed me, called me, whatever, put in an order, I press one button and it populates a whole list, a bunch of cards. It prompts me to put in the contact name, store, email, phone number, all that. Once I do that, another card pops up that reminds me, okay, create the purchase order, save it here, link it here. I mean, I clicked the links so that all I have to do is just follow the instructions. Once I save that, it automatically sets a reminder in 2 weeks for me to follow up and make sure it was paid. It prompts me to make sure I shipped the order in a timely fashion. And then once I ship it, I have it pops up and tells me when the order was delivered. Once it does that, 2 weeks later, or 2 months later, it reminds me to, 2 weeks later, sometime later, it tells me to follow up and make sure they got their order okay. And then a couple months later, it tells me to follow up. And yeah, it took me a little while to set up that automation, but now I literally click one button and it does all that for me. So all I have to do is put in a little bit of information and click save, and the rest of it just generates and does it automatically. So it takes a little time up front, but that saves me so much time now every time I get a wholesale order, because I don't have to go over here and figure out, oh wait, where was it that I saved that purchase order form? And what is it that I do? How do I phrase this? And it's so nice. So with automation, it's almost like having an assistant or an employee, because you're saving yourself so much time that instead of writing emails and sending invoices and all that, I can be creating another design that might make me more money than sitting and writing emails. You guys know what I meant by that. So you can also set all of those programs to, like, every day pop up your daily checklist and refresh itself every day. You can send reminders to people. I mean, you can automate almost anything in your business. You can automate more than you think. Maybe I shouldn't say almost anything, but a lot more than you think, and it will save you so much time. All right, speaking of time, I am keeping an eye on it, and I still have a lot to go, so we're gonna fly. Ready? All right, next. So we covered organization, we covered optimization, albeit really, really fast. Optimization is also important for weatherproofing your business, and here's why. So optimization is basically the concept, and the way I use it, the way I use the term, is the concept of like taking work you've already done and making it work for you over and over and over again. I think the easiest way to get this concept across is talk about like a blog post, right? We've all written a blog post, or we know what a blog post is. If you write a blog post, which they say blog posts should be at least 500 words, preferably more than 2,000 or something, you should be able to turn that into so much. You guys have to renew my parking. Hold on. I mean, I'm not getting a parking ticket for this. So let me just renew and we're good. All right. See, technology, automation, right? I set it to tell me when I had 15 minutes left so I wouldn't get a parking ticket, and it did. So you've got your blog post. We're circling back to optimization. You've got your blog post. You've written 500 to 2,000 words, whatever. Maybe you've written 10,000. Good for you. But let's just use like a 500-word blog post as an example. From that, you can make you can do at least like 4 pull quotes, make graphics out of them. If you make a graphic out of 4 quotes you pulled from your blog, that's 16 social media posts. If you're thinking like Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, the big ones. You can aggregate it, like you can submit it to sites like BuzzFeed or whatnot. You can then use it as questions for your followers, like, hey, I wrote this blog post about this. What did you guys think about it? Or what do you guys think about traveling with toddlers? Or, hey, what's your favorite place to eat in your city? Like whatever the topic is, you can turn it into a blog post, a social media post about that. You could take a quote that you really liked from the blog and stick it on a product and either sell it or gift it or do a collaboration with somebody else. You can share it in all your Facebook groups. You can pin it. You can write a guest blog. If you write a guest blog, they'll rephrase so it's not duplicate content. But you wrote that blog post one time, and then you have all of that content from that one blog post, or design a challenge around it or a free opt-in so that like if you do an opt-in, even if it's a freebie, it's out there floating around still working for you forever. You're still getting emails from it. People are sharing it. Like that was quite a look. Did you guys get my point? I'm really excited about it. If you have a podcast interview you were on, transcribe it or pay to have it transcribed, then make a blog out of it, and then you start the cycle all over again. Pull quotes, social media graphics. Also in your brand Bible, like keep a folder for if you did speaking stuff, podcast interviews, that kind of stuff. Because if you're stuck one day for content, you might want to go listen to that podcast interview you did again and go, oh yeah, that was a cool point I made. Let's write a blog. You're an illustrator, even if you are a bespoke wedding invitation designer, you can still optimize your content, right? Even if you told a bride, okay, I created this monogram for you and I'll never ever use it again, or this design for you. You can still take, like maybe you drew a pretty flower, or she wanted a, beach-themed wedding, and you drew some cool fish. You can still take that motif, that element, and turn it into something else, right? Without recreating what you sold as one of a kind. You can, do thank you notes, upsell the bride on thank you notes that coordinate with her wedding invitations. You can put it on a mug and sell it. You can go to sites like Zazzle or Cafe Press and put it on products there, and you literally never have to touch it again. I do that with some of my old designs, and I still get, they're not huge, but I get nice little chings from Zazzle every now and then, from old stuff that I retired because it's not on brand anymore when I niche down to travel, but it's still making me money. It's not enough to pay my mortgage, but it all adds up. If you, have a stock photo, or if you're a photographer, you probably know this, but if you, pay for a stock photo or something, you can use it so many different ways, right? Flip it, crop it, recolor it. Like, don't feel like you have to constantly be on the search for the perfect photo. You can use them more than once. Photographers. Speaking of photographers, you have an editing style you really like, or if you kind of got your editing flow down, save it as an action or a preset and then sell it. There's plenty of places where people will pay money to have a preset or an action or whatever. And, speaking of that, going back to your zone of genius, only you can do what you do. And I wrestle really hard with this. So I'm kind of going a little off topic right now, but I feel pretty passionate about it. You probably are like, who would pay me for that? That's so easy. Can't everyone figure out how to edit a photo? Can't everyone, design draw a flower? I don't know. I'm coming up with random ideas now because I'm off on the fly. But what is easy to you is not necessarily easy to anyone else. So whether you want to create a freebie or a low-cost opt-in or even a one-on-one service, like a high-value item, don't discount your knowledge and your zone of genius because you think, oh, it's too easy, everyone knows how to do that. They don't. It seems easy to you because you're good at it. So there are so many options for passive income with whatever you already know how to do. Just kind of take a step back, dial it down to its lowest level, and figure out how you can monetize that. All right, so back to my script, my notes. Yeah, and another thing that I struggled with in the beginning, and again, y'all, I teach this because of the experiences I went through. Like I try not to pretend to be anything I'm not. Does that sentence make sense? I try not to pretend to be anything I'm not. Well, let's be definitive. I don't pretend to be anything I'm not. So most everything I'm teaching and sharing comes from my own experiences. And I struggled with this in the beginning, that it's okay to be semi-homemade. And what I mean by that is when I started out as a graphic designer, and I'm sure this is true for like every industry out there, I felt that pressure that I had to draw everything from scratch. I had to take the photos of all of my products. I had to do everything myself, or I wasn't a true artist or a true businesswoman or whatever. It is okay to go out there and buy clip art. It's okay to do a mock-up. It's okay to, take these little shortcuts. It's optimization. It's outsourcing. It's optimization. These are all the things that are actually going to give you more time to create the content that's going to make you money over and over and over again, even when you're on vacation. Does that make sense? So just wrap your head around that. What finally clicked for me, and this might be the dumbest example, but it's whatever works for your brain to get past that roadblock, is, okay, I was a graphic designer. There are interior designers. Nobody expects that they're building the couch and sewing the pillows, right? So why would people expect me to have to draw every single thing I was using? I was too scared to use fonts in the beginning because I thought, oh, I'm supposed to hand draw these. If it looks like it's handwriting, it should be my handwriting. And then I realized that was just causing more work, more headache, and so not enough profit because my time was all being sucked up trying to create everything from scratch. So it's okay to outsource things like that. It's also okay to reuse social media. The world is busy. People are not going to see everything you post. So if you know you're going on a week vacation, look back through your old posts, use a scheduler like Later or Buffer or Planoly, reshare some of them. Just schedule them to go out while you're on vacation. I guarantee you, not everyone who lays eyeballs on that has already seen it. Even those who did probably forgot it. And if they even remember they saw it before, that means they're a big follower and they won't mind seeing it again, right? Okay, we are going to close out with talking about outsourcing. I'm just going to go over this kind of briefly, but this is a big mental block for a lot of people, a lot of small business owners, because they say, oh, I don't have time to train, I don't have money to hire, et cetera, et cetera. I want to bust those myths. I want to talk about what outsourcing really means or can be for you. So a little bit about me. I'm not the best cook. I don't mind cooking, but what I hate is the planning and the grocery store shopping, right? So my family does Blue Apron, and I consider that outsourcing because you know what? The time I would spend planning that meal and at the grocery store, I'm working. I'm coming up with new designs. I'm, writing social media content and whatever, doing the things that make me money and build my business and move the needle forward. You may have a house cleaner. You may have a babysitter. These are all outsourcing ideas for your business. Just wrap your head around that. Anything that saves you time so you can spend more time doing what only you can do is outsourcing, right? Now, if you do want to start bringing people on to your actual business, you don't have to hire, don't think I can't afford an assistant. Y'all, one of my first, well, that's not true, but somewhere along the way, I hired someone to manage my Pinterest account. It was awful. My account, not her. She was great. My account was awful. I had niched down to travel. My account didn't show that. It was like that weird blend of where it used to be like cool stuff I want for my house and like wedding invitations because I got married 10 years ago, but then a little paper finch. So I basically had her burn it to the ground and rebuild it. So she had to invest a little time with that. But after that, she worked 1 hour a month. She would go into Tailwind, schedule a bunch of stuff. That's it. But I outsourced, right? I stink at Pinterest. I don't know why. It's pinning pretty things. It sounds like it should be fun. And it is. But for some reason, when it was for my business, I just wasn't good at it. So I paid her for 1 hour a month, what would have taken me, oh my gosh, probably 6 or 7, honestly, because I was so slow and I would be like, wait, what do I do? Where do I pin this? How do I find this? But she knew all the shortcuts. So I got to spend more time in my zone of genius by paying her to do hers. I'm a designer and I outsource my catalog because that's not in my wheelhouse. I don't love InDesign. I don't layout is a whole different thing than art. So I outsource that. It takes her, I don't know, let's say 5 hours and it probably would have taken me 15. So again, don't even be scared to outsource. It's hard to wrap your head around like, oh, but I could do that. So I just shouldn't save money. You're not saving money because you're taking more of your own time to do what you could have just paid someone to do while you're working on something else that will gain you money. That was the most confusing sentence, but I hope you guys followed. So everything that I've said over the last 45 minutes, basically leads up to this. You can hire. You just need to be organized so that you have everything in place when it's time to onboard someone. Automate so that you can get all the systems and processes in place that you don't need to pay someone for. Optimize so that you have just content out the wazoo, or at least you've got your guidelines for optimizing in place for when you bring someone on, then you can outsource. And each one of these things are just kind of like a different step in the process. Even if you're on your first day, of your new business, you can start each one of these, right? If it's intimidating, start with organization and just know that you're going to be better off than the rest of us. We didn't start organizing on day one. So props to you. You're already ahead of the game. But the end goal is to have all this in place so that if life happens, if you have to step away for an hour, a day, a week, a month, or if you want to go on vacation, hallelujah. If you want to take a nap, you're not panicking over, oh my gosh, I got to answer that email. Oh my gosh, I got to send that invoice. Oh gosh, what am I going to post tomorrow? It's all done. And that's not to say you're never going to have to work, because you are. But it gives you a safety net for when those times pop up. It also just is going to make you more efficient. You're going to be able to move your needle forward in your business a little more than in the past. And hopefully it just causes you a whole lot less stress. So it's just me and Gina. Gina, do you have any questions?
I would say that the question, I think I'm currently showing audio.
Computer audio.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go. The question I have is, what has been the most important way that you have automated your business? What's been the most impactful specifically for you?
All right. And I just want to say, you guys might notice that Gina and I have the same background. We are like friends in real life, so we're together, which might be why you might hear a little delay as well. Gosh, the best audit, I mean, I feel like my knee-jerk answer would be the wholesale example I used earlier, so I'm trying to think of another one. Yeah, well, it's a good one. I automated a checklist for when I create a new product, because I am a product designer. And between me and my VA, as soon as I start a card on my Trello board, new product, and I do have to manually start it. So for example, I just did Asheville, North Carolina. I did a print for Asheville, North Carolina. It auto-populates a checklist of everything I need to do to like list it, promote it, list it on Etsy, list it on Shopify, make it a mug, make it a pillow. And it automates, like it sends it to me, it sends it to her. It knows who's doing what, if that makes sense. And it's got like due dates attached. It's nice. It's just, aside from the wholesale one, because that one's just so badass and like saves so much time. And I will I'll circle back in a second and explain why I don't have more like that. The product one is good because it's the one I use the most, because I'm constantly making new products. So the reason why I only have one, like the wholesale one I was mentioning, is because that is a power up through something called Butler on Trello, which is amazing. And long story short, Trello just acquired Butler. So they're kind of shifting their plans right now. And so you only get one command of that time until they're done with the integration. So I have lots of other ones in my head that I want to set up once we get the green light. But right now, that one is my free one. And it's awesome. So yeah, those two. Because one is like just the coolest, best automation, the beefiest, and then the other one's the one I use the most. So, any other questions you can take or not or whatever?
Another question I have is, so if someone is just getting started with weatherproofing their business, what's the very first thing they should do?
I mean, I would say organization, but I think you probably mean even more detailed than that. I mean, I think the business babysitter is probably the first step. And if you didn't see my post in the community earlier, it's basically just a priority list. Okay, so you guys all know what babysitter forms are for kids, right? Like you have someone coming over to watch your kid and you write down, here's their name, obviously important, here's their allergies, here's my phone number, the doctor's phone number, like their bedtime, their common workflow, basically. You know, we eat dinner at 6, bath at 7, bed at 7:30, whatever your workflow is. It's that, but for your business. Because, you know, day 2 of your business, something could happen. Day 2 of your business, you know, knock on wood. But at any point, something could happen and you don't want to have to like close your doors before you even started. And it's also a way to like dip your toe in the pool of organizing and all that. So I would say, yeah, gather your most important information, including like any necessary passwords, not all of them. So make sure you pick someone you trust. But like, you know, email and maybe social media. Keep it in one place, whether you want that to be in a physical binder or, shocker, I recommend a Trello board. And just have that ready to go so that the side benefit is it helps you. You've got your stuff in one place so that, again, you aren't constantly, wait, what's the password for that? I mean, I use I have the full one, like the brand Bible, like I talked about. And to say I use it daily is an understatement. I have it open all the time. So I can just go over there and find a password or find a swipe file or be like, oh, wait, where did I keep the link to my catalog? Oh, yeah, it's right here. So I'd say start with that and then just build out from there.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I guess that is it, guys. So I will post this in the group. If you have any questions, I know I covered a lot. I mean, some of the information, like most of the information I gave you, I stretch out over 8 weeks in my current beta group course, so this is barely scratching the surface, but I hope it helped. I hope I didn't go too fast. If I did, reach out, either amy@paperfinch.com or just send me a DM right here in the community. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye.